The Glock Pistol, for 25 years, one of the best-selling handguns in America. And whether you love it or hate it, we're going to take a look at some of the reasons why this is such a popular pistol. Now this is the Model 17, and it's what started the whole Glock revolution. Designed in 1982, but entered U.S. markets in 1986. In fact, they just celebrated 25 years of Glock in the United States. It serves in 65% of all law enforcement agencies across the country. That's over 2,000 agencies that the Glock serves in, and 150,000 pistols. That fact alone gives a lot of credibility for the reliability, the durability, and this gun as far as its workmanship. In 1999, over 2 million Glocks were imported into the United States. To be honest with you, no one really knows how many Glocks have been sold because Glock is a private company and they haven't released those numbers. It's pretty vague. The Model 19 is Glock's best-selling model, and that's the compact version of this pistol in itself. We're going to safety check the pistol just to make sure that it is unloaded. But why is this such a popular pistol with so many different people? Smooth like butter. You know, to be honest, the first time I bought a Glock, it was back in, it had to be 1987, and it was a Model 17. It was one of the first gens. And when I first saw it, I thought, man, that is a blocky, square-off looking pistol. I mean, I was used to the Berettas, I was used to the Smith & Wesson, the Browning High Power, other pistols like that. So this was a completely different design from anything I'd ever seen. But once I picked it up and started kind of looking over it and felt the weight, saw how simple it was, no external safeties coming off the side, the slide release. This is an extended slide release, and look how close it rides to the frame. And what that does, it makes it really easy to draw and holster. It makes it really easy to manipulate. Once you pull the slide back, you just pull the trigger. Take your magazine out with your magazine release. Just a very simple gun. And I think that was a huge appeal to many people. They didn't have to think. They could draw it, and if they needed to use it, they could. Of course, the other thing, which was a huge boost for Glock, and because the weight was so light, because of this polymer frame. And many people said plastic gun originally. Many people were like, oh, people are going to slip through airports with this gun. And there were all kind of crazy rumors going around. Of course, that's obviously not the case. And the other thing was, well, this polymer won't last. It's not durable enough. Then again, that was dispelled, especially after many law enforcement agencies started buying these handguns, and then a lot of the tests that were done. The endurance test, 100,000, 200,000 rounds through a Glock pistol without any malfunctions. And finally, after 100,000 rounds, the magazine malfunctioned only because it wouldn't hold the slide back after the last round, but it still fed through the gun. And, you know, it was a good system, a complete system. And then the price. The price on these has been very reasonable. For the quality you're getting, they've risen over the past couple of years. But for years, Glocks were running in the $450 range. And so now you're looking at about $525 and, you know, and up, according to where you're getting it and according to how the market's going. Now, one major thing, too, was the magazine capacity. It was holding 17 rounds, which your typical pistol at that time was about 14 to 15 rounds. So you had a 17-round magazine, super lightweight, and a pistol that was fairly reasonable and very simple. So that also led to a lot of the popularity. And two, and one of the reasons why I really like Glock is because these magazines run about $25. And, you know, that's one of the things. I like to have a number of magazines with my pistol. And a lot of times with some of the more premium brands, such as H&K and SIG, those magazines can be very expensive and sometimes difficult to locate. And then when you bring in the 33 round magazine, Glock factory magazine, which is made for their Model 18 full automatic, this really is a cool option to be able to put in the same gun. Now, with that said, you have your Model 26, which is your subcompact 9mm. Same magazine fits in here as does in the 17. And then you have your 19, which is a compact version, and yet it feels like a full-size handgun. I mean, you have the same caliber with different models that all manipulate the same, and to be honest with you, shoot pretty close to the same. And you can interchange these magazines. Another cool thing about the Glock magazines is there are a number of rifles, carbines, that are made to use Glock magazines. And you've already got your 33 rounder, and again, it's very reasonable, and also with your 17 rounder. And you can use these same type magazines in a pistol caliber carbine. Of course, you have different calibers, like this Model 36, which is a 45 ACP. It holds 6 rounds, and it's an excellent concealed carry piece. But then you also have your Model 30, which is larger, and then you have your Model 21, which is a full-size 45 ACP. And talking of big bore, here's my 10mm Glock 20. And this gives me a lot of other options with the 10mm cartridge. And so on. There are 7 different calibers that Glock offers, and there are 38 different models. There's a lot of different options with all the same design, a lot of the same feel, all the controls are the same. Once they started going with the Tenifer finish, which is a super hard finish on these slides, that really gave a lot of durability and kept these guns looking great longer. Of course, another appeal is how easy it is to break down. Pull the trigger, pull it back just about 1/8 of an inch, drop these little tabs, you pull it right off. Now, of course, there are other pistols that are this easy to break down now. But when these came out, this was revolutionary, and it still has a lot of appeal. There are also a number of conversion kits where you can just change the barrel and the magazine and have a totally different caliber if the frames coincide, which the 9mm and the 40 and also the 357 SIG all have the same frames. And that's just an easy option without having to go through all the paperwork with the different frames. Now, one thing to understand, though, about all the different pistols that are out there is there are different people that are out there, and each of these pistols sell by the thousands. You know, you've got your Beretta 92. I mean, what a great selling pistol used by the U.S. military. I love this pistol. I love the accuracy. I love how refined it is, how smooth it feels. The Browning High Power, such a classic pistol. Excellent. And you know, many people just choose a pistol because of the way it feels, the way it shoots in their hand. I mean, you've got the 1911, which is massively popular. And this is a Springfield champion, and it's just a great shooting gun. I grew up learning how to shoot on 45 1911s. Of course, you have your CZ, and your CZ pistols are just excellent. They're extremely ergonomic, they're classic, they're beautiful. And so while I'm speaking of Glock, I also totally enjoy all these different firearms. And I understand why people go to this other than the Glock. And there are a lot of reasons. Listen, people's personalities are so different, and people have different hand sizes, they have different uses, they just have different mindsets. And so all of these guns fall into that place. But that still doesn't change the fact that Glock is so popular. And of course, the Smith & Wesson M&P, which really is an answer to the Glock. This is an awesome pistol. I love it. I love the way it shoots. I love the way it feels. The Springfield XDM is also an excellent pistol. And then again, it's a very nice selling popular pistol. Then we have the CZ P09, which is the answer to the Glock. Over the CZ 75, the P09 goes more toward a system that is close related to the Glock. You have Carr, you have Beretta, you have Smith & Wesson. I mean, there are just so many different companies out there, and I know I'm missing a bunch because there's so many out there, and they sell well. But the Glock surpasses each and every one of these in sales. And because there's such a sea of different type firearms, and because Glock has been so widely known, I think that also has a lot to do with the popularity of the Glock pistol. You know, a lot of people ask me, say, you know, why do you do such positive reviews on guns? Well, for one thing, I love guns. I love different type guns. And if I want to compare these two, I have certain preferences. But to me, the same reason somebody went out and bought a Smith & Wesson M&P because that was the gun of their choice, that's their opinion, that's their prejudice on what they like. It's the way it feels in their hand. Their hands are different. They weigh different. They're different sizes. Some are taller, some are shorter. Some just, these appeal to others. And so while millions of these are sold and millions of these are sold, it's up to the person who's buying the pistol. And a lot of times, it's just straight up marketing. And I think Glock does a fantastic job at marketing their pistols. I mean, really, Glock perfection. All the different things that I've shown about the Glock pistol and what's made it so popular has now been copied and mimicked by a lot of different companies. And that's okay, because it gives us a lot of other choices to enjoy the things that made the Glock so popular. And so it's really up to the individual shooter what you feel. And I'll tell you, like I tell everybody, when choosing a handgun, go to a gun shop, a well-stocked gun shop, and put different pistols in your hand. Check the natural point of aim and see what gun best suits you. Don't go out and buy a Glock because it's the most popular. Go out and buy something that suits your personality. Again, there are different people, different hand sizes, different body shapes, different preferences and prejudices that lead to finding the right handgun for you. So are there better pistols than the Glock out on the market? Sure there are. Are there pistols that are more refined, that are more accurate? Of course there are. But for a medium-priced handgun that just works and is really high quality, it's just hard to beat the Glock. You know, the Glock's been called many things. It's a block, it's ugly, you know, beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. But I'll tell you, the more I own and shoot Glock, the more beautiful it is. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. The Glock pistol. 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 One of the best-selling handguns. And so you can use these type magazines in a carbine pistol. Whether you love it or you hate it, we're going to take a look